Yo, it's been it's been a good minute. Before I talk about something real quick, I do want to say yes, this is a Yu-Gi-Oh video. I did get to Plat 1 by using a Dark Magician deck, and I will be going over the deck profile and such in this video. I just want to talk about something real quick, or do the intro. If you just want to go ahead and watch the deck profile, I'll go ahead and leave a timestamp or just divide the video in like titles or something, and you can just skip to that. Okay, now that we're have that out of the way, what's good? Yeah, it's been a good minute. I did mention I really do want to try to be a bit more consistent with uploading videos, at least once a week for now, because, you know, if I do get into that zone, I probably try to upload more. I am very good when it comes to time management, and I'm sure that I can at least do this once a week for now. The thing is, the main reason why I haven't been able to upload for such a long while, this time mainly it's just my computer, dude. My computer is dying. I am actually risking this video right now because, you know, I'm just using a freaking, what is this, Dell something Inspiron, which is pretty good. It's a pretty good laptop, but, you know, it can't hold up to the things that I want to do anymore. So I do want to get back into making more videos and of the different series that I have going and the new things that I'm doing as well. But I am working on getting a new computer first, have a good setup, and then, you know, we can also get back into the grind. But having that said, Yu-Gi-Oh, dude. I have been addicted to Yu-Gi-Oh as of recently, especially since Master Duel came out. And here's the thing. So quick story time. I played Yu-Gi-Oh since I think a lot of people as a kid, and I always, dude, I would like play against my brother like almost every single day, just testing out like decks and stuff like that. I never really got too much into, like, you know, try hard and like buying cards and all that kind of thing and competing, but it's just something I really enjoyed. And as the game evolved, I just kept seeing these new cards come out and yeah, yo, that looks pretty dope and I kind of want to play it. And then I started playing Duel Links, and you're probably already seeing a Duel Links video on your screen like, yo, what the f is going on? I'm gonna get to Master Duel. Give me a sec. Let me just, you know, let me get through this real quick. So basically, I downloaded Duel Links. I started playing with a few friends of mine, and it's fun. It's a really good game. However, my favorite archetype is the Dark Magician archetype, and in Duel Links, Dark Magician has it rough, to say the least. So, you know, you can make it work, but it's very difficult, and you have to find like different alternatives in order to like make it run good. And again, real quick, I am not a professional player. I've just been like learning a lot, you know, getting to play. So maybe some of the things I say, maybe they're dumb. Maybe you can correct me in the comments. You go ahead and do that anyway. So there was last year there was this time where we were like playing a lot of Duel Links. We were just like into it. And then we saw the announcement for Master Duel. And Master Duel was pretty much this game where everything was like, oh, all the cards are here. And I'm like, yo, it's gonna pop off, dude. This is gonna be our game. And as soon as it came out, I downloaded it, and yo, this thing kind of lit. It's not fully updated to all the cards that are currently. So Battle of Chaos came out recently, which brought really good support for Dark Magician, which makes the deck just that more consistent. But the other thing about Master Duel is that Dragoon is banned. and Dragoon is basically that big card that came out that really buffed Dark Magician to be able to compete with, you know, these other high tier decks. And so basically, bro, I wanted to take Dark Magician and just smash, like do good with it, you know what I'm saying? And I just had to find a way to do it. So I got Master Duel, I started watching a lot of videos, learning, and lo and behold, boom, baby, you already know what it is! Alright, so basically, this deck I'm not sure if I recommend it for new players or players who have not played in a while. Yu-Gi-Oh is kind of a game that is very hard to get into. Just because there's so many nuances in the game, it's that much faster now. And especially with a deck like Dark Magician, it's one of those decks that you really have to understand what to negate or whatever in order for it to be successful in the ladder. But anyways, I've talked for enough. Let's get into this deck profile. Something else I want to mention, if there's like any weird cuts between the video, I forgot to mention this in the intro, but the other reason besides my computer why I have not been recording constantly or consistently is because of my computer. Yes, if I record a video for over 10 minutes, the video just doesn't work. It's like some weird glitching, and so it's just hard, man. But anyways, that's enough moping about that. So, Dark Magician. First thing I want to say, this is not a pure Dark Magician deck, as you can see in the title. It is actually using Invoke with the Dark Magician cards or render, whatever you want to call it. The reason why I chose Invoke, just a quick intro, I'm going to go more into detail throughout the video. Dark Magician right now is not at its full potential compared to how TCG OCG cards are, including the Battle of Chaos pack. So right now, one major card that we're missing, let me see if I can just tap this in real quick, is Dragoon. Dragoon right now, great, god damn it, since it's banned. Give me a sec. There we go. Right, Dragoon. Because right now in this ban list, it's banned. And this card basically, as I mentioned in the intro, is the big buff that came out for Dark Magician. This is what makes Dark Magician able to stand against a lot of tier 1 decks that are ramping through the ladder. You know, real quick, this monster basically you have to kill this monster by beating over it. You know, it's not affected by card effects. You can't target it by card effects. Yada yada yada. I think you can tribute it. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you can. If not, I'm sorry. But the point is, I had to kind of think like, okay, so we don't really have a boss monster right now in this deck besides Quintet. What is the next big thing that we can have? Because I think that besides the value that Dragoon has, of being able to survive, like when your Eternal Souls gets popped and everything just gets destroyed, is the negate. Negating in Yu-Gi-Oh right now is, I would say, pretty much essential in every deck. You need to have some sort of form of negation, because it just prevents your opponent from doing like their combos or doing their plays or setting up the board that they want to set up. And the next big thing that I thought that was easy to do and didn't really like cost much of, you know, having to take out other essential cards in the Dark Magician deck was Invoke Mechabot. And I'm gonna go over him again later on. I'm just kind of explaining the thought process of why I chose just a little bit of why I, you know, went with the Invoke engine with Dark Magician. Anyways, let's get into this deck profile for real now. So I'm going to try to be as descriptive as possible. If some of the things that I'm going to say seem obvious, it's because I am trying to explain this to new players or anything that's just interested in learning on how the Dark Magician deck works. I'll try to remember or explain all the nuances as well, the little text this deck can do. If I do miss anything, I apologize. Mention it in the comments. We can talk about it there. Anyways, first card in the list, essential. Obviously, without this, it's not a working Dark Magician deck. You have Dark Magician. I am playing Dark Magician at 2. I do believe this is probably the best way to play it right now, just so you don't brick as often. I kinda slightly can see why you would say playing 3 Dark Magicians is okay, more maybe in a pure Dark Magician deck. Just because, you know, normally we do play the 2 Dark Magicians and a Red Ice, which is basically another vanilla monster that makes us brick. But I do think 2 is the best number, again, just to not brick as often, at least with the build that I have right now. And Dark Magician is one of those cards that you kind of want to see but don't really want to see, because the card that you actually do want to see is this bad boy that we have right here. You know what I'm saying? That's how you want to essentially summon or send your Dark Magician into the grave. But Dark Magician, there's really nothing to him. He's just, you know, the main guy, 2,500, 2,100 defense. But, you know, that's pretty much it. Now this guy's insane. Magician's Souls is absolutely cracked, dude. This thing is disgusting. Now, first of all, I'm gonna go his effects in order how they appear here. Send up to 2 spell traps in your hand to the field graveyard. You can draw with it. So this thing can basically become a pot of greed. Now, a really cool tech that you can do with Magician's Souls is that if you used a skill drain on your opponent's turn in order to negate something, just in case you didn't have like Imperm or Effect Veiler, you can actually special summon Magician's Souls into your field, activate his effect, because remember, with skill drain, it says, but their effects can still be activated, and the skill drain needs to be face up on the field in order for the negate to actually happen. If it's not in the field anymore, the effect will go through. So what you do is you take Magician's Souls, you activate its effect if you're sure you don't want the skill drain on the field anymore, and you can send skill drain to the graveyard and any other spell or trap card, draw a card, and now all of a sudden you can activate your effects. More for so when you're summoning like Magician's Rod, or in my case, Alistair, I'm not sure how his name is, but you know what I mean. So that's one thing you can do. This card essentially is to basically get Dark Magician or Dark Magician Girl, which are your bricks in the deck, into the graveyard. That way you can summon Dark Magician back either with Eternal Souls, or you also do have the option of sending Magician Souls to the graveyard and summoning either Dark Magician or Dark Magician Girl from your graveyard into the field. Now the cool thing about this card is you send a level 6 or higher spellcaster, so it can be any level 6 or higher spellcaster. It doesn't have to be Dark Magician. So if you want to summon your Dark Magician, but both of them are already in your graveyard, you still have Dark Magician Girl and Apprentice Illusion to send those to the graveyard, and then either special summon Magician Souls or summon Dark Magician. Another cool thing that you can do with Magician Souls is, so I talked about how you can send spell or trap cards into the graveyard in order to draw. Now, Dark Magician always, if not most of the time, is going to be using Upstart Goblin. Upstart Goblin pairs up really well, and I'll go into more into detail later on with Dark Magic Circle and Soul Servant. Now the thing with Upstart Goblin is you give 1,000 life points to your opponent in order to draw a card for free, essentially. You know, giving your opponent 1,000 life points is not that bad on paper. It's not a bad trade-off. However, and this is more of a situational thing that you can do, Magician Souls basically does that without having to give your opponent 1,000 life points. So if by any chance you feel safe on activating its effect downfield, and you don't have any other spell or traps that you can like send easily to the graveyard in order to draw, just send Upstart Goblin. You're essentially activating Upstart Goblin, but without giving your opponent the 1,000 life points. So another card that Magician Souls really loves to send is Magician's Salvation. This card, I send it like 90% of the time into the graveyard using Magician Souls. 90% of the time, because you know, in Yu-Gi-Oh! You just have to start get going and waiting for the effect. You only really use the effect, or at least I do, for resummoning Dark Magician Girl or Dark Magician. If I'm like way ahead and I want to like go into some link plays or anything like that, it's when I really use the effect of summoning, you know, the opposite magician which you summon from your graveyard to the field. I think that's pretty much it when it comes to Magician Souls. Now, Maxi, Maxi right now, Master Duel, it is not banned, it is not limited. This is another essential card. However, I am playing it at 2. And the reason for that is I think it's one of those cards that although it is really good as a hand trap and you do want to see it in your duel at least once, you don't want to see it all the times because otherwise you are going to risk breaking. And Maxi is one of those cards that it's super good for stopping your opponent from going through their plays. However, stopping them from playing is a choice they make. It doesn't really negate them like, let's say, a hand trap like Ash Blossom, you know what I mean? So, Maxi, I kept it at 2. I'm not playing it at 3 right now again because I do want to see him, but not as often. And Maxi, very simple. Every time your opponent special summons a monster, you get to draw a card. So if they're playing like something like Tri Brigade or anything that does crazy special summons, then Maxi is a good card to activate to kind of pressure them in to stop their turn, and then you get to do your stuff. I think that's pretty much whatever. Also, Maxi, since I haven't played against many Eldritch players, which by the way, this deck is really good against Eldritch, and I'll explain as I go why. You know, a lot of people hate Eldritch, I hate Eldritch. You can play around it, but you know, very important not to build your deck to specifically counter a card or a deck type. But this deck, it is very well rounded against the meta that is in right now, but it is extremely good against Eldritch, you know, as long as you have the right card. Alright, so following on, next we have Magician's Rod. This is another very vital card for Dark Magician decks. This is your main searcher, I guess. Magician's Souls technically can search as well, but this guy is the one that's going to be getting your spell and trap cards, which Dark Magician, you know, the big 3 setup is Eternal Souls, Dark Magic Circle, and obviously Dark Magician. So, Magician's Rod, I am playing it currently at 3. I will continue to play at 3. I've thought about reducing it to 2, maybe once we have the support for Battle of Chaos, but again, this is just some theory crafting I've done, but I think it will stay at 3. Pretty sure it will stay at 3, because this card is just essential. Now, basically, with this card, you can get your Dark Magic Circle or your Eternal Souls, or even better, Magician's Salvation, because with Magician's Salvation, activate Magician's Salvation, you also get your Eternal Souls by activating, and now you're thinning your deck a lot faster, which is something that you want to do with every deck. You want to thin it out so you can get the cards that a higher chance of getting the cards that you actually want. I mainly use it for that, either Magician's Salvation or Dark Magic Circle. If you already have an Eternal Soul in your hand, you can kind of get Magician's Salvation activated, try to bait an Ash, then they negate it, but you already have Eternal Souls in your hand. These are just some plays that I'll maybe go over when I do replay videos. This video, I think I'm just going to focus and leave it at the deck profile in itself. But one of the cards that you do mainly want to get is Soul Servant. Soul Servant, because mainly the best case scenario, one of the best case scenario hands that you want to have at the beginning is having Magician's Souls and Magician's Rod in your hand. The reason why is because Magician's Rod would be your normal summon, and then Magician's Souls would be your special summon. Now, the good thing about this is that if you special summon Magician's Souls or special summon Dark Magician, you're already adding the draw effect to Soul Servant because you have a Dark Magician in your field or your graveyard. So you would get Magician's Rod, get your Soul Servant, activate Soul Servant, stack whatever Dark Magician card you want. That's either Eternal Souls, Circle, another Soul Servant, Secrets of Dark Magic, Magician's Salvation. It can be even another, you know, you get the gist of it. But basically you would do that, and then you just draw the card that you want. And again, it helps to thin the deck even further, because you can just activate Magician's Rod and get Circle, but in my opinion, I think it's a lot better to, again, thin the deck even more. That's going to be the word of the day, ladies and gentlemen. To get your Soul Servant, activate Soul Servant, stack Magic Circle, then banish Soul Servant from your graveyard to draw the Circle, and now, you know, you're just like, I'm not sure if a +1, basically, yeah, because you're you're using the effect of a card to draw 2. But that's as far as Magician's Rod really goes. It's pretty straightforward. Little thing that you can do with Magician's Rod is you can link it to Artemis, and then on your opponent's turn you can either activate Soul Servant or Eternal Soul at some point. Magician's Rod effect is going to trigger, and then you can send a Spellcaster monster, which is the other effect from Magician's Rod, is if it's in your graveyard. Send a Spellcaster monster to the graveyard, and then you can get your Magician's Rod back into the hand. And then on your next turn, just keep on digging for the spell or trap cards that you need, or just thinning the deck even more. I think that's pretty much on what Magician's Rod can do. It's just another good card to, like, if you have Magician's Rod and Magician's Soul in the field, go into your, like, Anaconda or something. Next up, we have Ash. Now, this is one of those other staple cards that you kind of need in your deck. Staple cards, for those of you who don't know, is just cards that are generally good in any deck, like Solemn Judgment, Skill Drain, Call by the Grave, the hand traps, again, like Ash Blossom, as I mentioned, Max D. Those are staple cards, you know, and it can be like Access Code Talker, etc., etc. Ash, straightforward. If your opponent essentially activates something that will add a card from the deck to the hand, special summon from the deck, or send a card from the deck to the graveyard, activate Ash Blossom and you negate. Now, as you climb up the ladder, it's good to understand your matchups, because you do need to know what to negate and what to kind of let through, especially with all the negating things that exist. You kind of want to negate the stuff that would, obviously, not let you play out your turn smoothly. So that's basically for Ash. It's pretty straightforward, just a really good hand trap, nothing much to it there. And now we get to the spicy stuff. This is the spicy part of it. Now, I really did try to play Pure Dark Magician at the beginning. It didn't last very long. I tried the Sky Striker engine. I think the Sky Striker engine is really good, but I just really am digging this Invoker engine right now. It is what, you know, got me to Plat 1, and I had fun. I think it's very important to just have fun using whatever you use. Otherwise, you're just not gonna enjoy it. Duh. Anyways, Alistair the Invoker. This card is absolutely insane. And the thing about the Invoker pack is that it's essentially a one-card combo. You know, it's so easy to get into Mechaba, like, you have no idea. So let's say you don't have the field spell card in your hand. You would, obviously, first you try to bait out the Ashes. You don't want to have your Alistair get Ash, otherwise you're just going to have a normal summon Alistair sitting there in the field, unable to do anything. So you kind of want to try it out to bait their Ash first, and then, or to verify if they have anything like that to negate you. That's then when you summon Alistair the Invoker. This card, what it does, once you summon it, you can search for an Invocation Fusion card. After that, what I do is that I take Alistair, I link it away into Artemis, and then I can activate Invocation, Fusion Summon Alistair and Artemis, and summon my Invoke Mechaba. Now, the disgusting thing about this is that if you read Invocation, it doesn't have to use your cards. You can use cards from your opponent's graveyard. And this is where the thing about the counter to Eldish happens. Again, it's not just Eldish, you can work with it, but it does work very well against Eldritch. So Eldritch is a light monster, and you need an Invoker, Alistair the Invoker, or one light monster in order to make this card. Now, the thing about Invocation is that when you use this card in order to make the fusion through that method, those monsters are going to get banished. So if you're playing against Eldritch and they have an Eldritch in the graveyard, just by summoning Alistair, you can activate Invocation, banish Alistair, and banish their Eldritch from the graveyard, and then you make your Mechaba pretty much for free. And now they are down 1 Eldritch. And Eldritch decks usually play 2 Eldritch. Some of them play 3, but most of them play 2, so, you know, no brick and blah blah blah, or whatever the science behind Eldritch decks is. But I was actually unaware of this, and when I did that, because I didn't know Eldritch was a light, and that is very, very disgusting. That is the definition of pure disgusting, is how you can just banish an Eldritch right off just by making your fusion, your Mecha fusion. And the thing is, it doesn't stop there. So essentially, the way it goes, if you're not in the situation where they have a light monster in their graveyard, or even if they do, you would summon Aliester, get your invocation, link away Aliester if they don't have the light monster in their graveyard into Artemis, activate invocation, fusion summon your Invoke Mecha, activate invocation from your graveyard, and then you get Aliester back into your hand. And what this does is essentially, and I'll go again into this later on when I get to Mechaba, to the Mechaba card, is Mechaba needs to discard the card type it wants to negate. So if your opponent activates a trap card and you want to negate it, you need to discard a trap card from your hand. With this invocation combo, you're essentially getting a free monster negate on your opponent's turn. And the thing is, the type of negate that Mechaba does is negate and banish. So if they try, and this is from anywhere, this doesn't have to be in the field, it can be from the graveyard, from the hand, anywhere. And once again, this goes into the Eldritch deck. If they try to activate Eldritch from the graveyard, because you know when they activate the Eldritch from the graveyard in order to summon him, once he's summoned, he's basically unaffected by anything for like 2 turns, right? If they activate from the graveyard, activate Invoke Mechaba's effect, send Aliester the Invoker from your hand to the graveyard. If you don't have any other monster you can send, because you can send Dark Magician or any other, but Dark Magician works really nice because if you have your Eternal Souls, then you can just bring Dark Magician back at any point. But you know, send the monster from your hand to the graveyard, negate the Eldritch, banish another Eldritch. So you can essentially banish 2 Eldritches in a turn. And if you have Called by the Grave, the Eldritch player essentially already lost the game. Like they can't do anything to you. And that's not the only thing. If you go with like sending the Dark Magician card to the graveyard and you still have the Aliester Invoker card in your hand, this card also has the effect where if you have a fusion monster on the field, you can give it 1000 attack and defense until the end of this turn. And this is not just an Aliester fusion, it can be any fusion card that you have. So this card, besides having a good engine in order to have like a good negate card on the field, it can also work with any of your other fusion monsters. It's not just limited to the Invoke Mecha. And to me, that this card, I cannot tell you how many times, you know, duels have only lasted like 2 or 3 turns or it's just like a quick GG, just because I get to have Mechaba in the field and having this engine plus all the other stuff I can do with Dark Magician at the same time is just the grossest thing ever. The other good thing also about, which I will go into later, Mechaba also helps you protect your back row, so your Eternal Souls doesn't get popped, or your like Dark Magic Circle, you know, all that stuff. But I think that's basically it when it comes to Aliester the Invoker. Insane card. I am playing it at 2, because although I do really want to see it at least once, I don't want to see it as much. But the crazy thing about how this engine works is that I am essentially playing this card at 3. Because Magical Meltdown, I want to go into it more into detail later. And when I activate it, I can search for Aliester the Invoker right off the bat. So I'm essentially playing this card at 3, but this one really helps because if I don't really want to go into Aliester right now and I kind of want to try to bait an Ash, I can activate Magical. This deck has a lot of Ash bait. I can go into Magical Meltdown, which lets me search for an Aliester the Invoker. If they negate it and I already have Aliester the Invoker in my hand, that's another good tech that you can do. Absolutely insane. I love the Invoker engine. Now, Dark Magician Girl, this is essentially another of your bricks. I would really rather play mana. It's just, you know, and correct me if I'm wrong. Let me try to do a quick search here, but for some reason, I cannot find mana in here. Okay, I'm gonna leave the ban. It's not like ban or anything. See, if let's write Oracle mana. I'm sorry if you hear the taps from the control. I apologize. Very loud. See, it's not there. I don't know why. If somebody could explain to me why. You do have Mahad. I was playing Mahad before, but to have like, you know, Soul Servant draw me 3 if I have like Mahad, Magician Girl, and Dark Magician in the graveyard in the field. But I don't know. I kind of wanted a bit more oomph. Though I do believe that Mahad is insane in this game because essentially it does give you protection. If he does get destroyed, you can special summon a Dark Magician. So it's like, you know, 2 bodies. You have to like block anything. And if you have a Dark Magic Circle in the field by destroying Mahad, summon Dark Magician, you can banish something. Also, when Mahad attacks into a Dark Monster, his attack doubles. He's pretty insane. But I'm going with the Dark Magician Girl for now, while we get Oracle maybe, just because it pairs up with this card very well. But that's really much why you want her, because you can pair her up with Salvation, which when you summon Dark Magician, you can bring her as well. Lets you go into like Link plays. And it's draw 2 for Soul Servant. The other reason I am playing her is because I am doing the Norito combo with the 2 level 6 spellcaster monsters. I will go into that more once I get to Norito himself. But basically, it's just an easy way to go into your Ebon, and then if you attack, go into your Sues and have a 4 material Sues on field, which is absolutely insane. Being able to banish every single card on the field as a quick effect is absolutely disgusting. So, next up, we have Apprentice Illusion Magician. This card, I am playing it only at 1, is because it is a card that I do want to see, but I don't mind seeing. I think it's very situational, but when the situation arises, it is super clutch. Not only that, but it can help you search for a Dark Magician and send it to your graveyard. And this is the other card that you would pair up with Magician Girl if you special summon it in order to go to the Norito combo that I will explain later. But, you know, not much to it. You can special summon this card by discarding one card from your hand. Usually, you can even discard a Dark Magician, get your other Dark Magician by her effect, and now you eliminated the 2 Dark Magician bricks from your deck. Also, if this card is in your hand, and you have a Dark Spellcaster in the field, and that Dark Spellcaster is going to battle, you can send this card from your hand to the graveyard, so it's like another hand trap. And it gives a 2000 attack and defense boost until the end of the turn, or during that damage calculation only. Sorry, not till the end of the turn. Let me repeat that. During that damage calculation only, so it's not until the end of the turn, it's just during that interaction. But the thing is, this is for any Dark Spellcaster, so it doesn't have to be Dark Magician. You can even give it to your Alistair, right? Am I? Okay, yeah, you can. I thought you had to be a specific level, but no, you can give it to like Dark Magician Girl, you can give it to Alistair, you can give it to, I've called Alistair different names in this video so many times already. You can give it to Magician's Rod, Dark Magician, you can even give it to Magician's Souls if you want to be a troll, but this card is really, really, really good, but it's not something that I would like to play it at 2, but not really right now. Because I don't think it's as insane as some of the other stuff that we got going on in this deck, you know what I'm saying? Moving on, that's it for our monsters. There is a little thing that I want to talk about in the end in terms of monster, but I'll go into that once I get to the card that I want to reach. Spell cards. Upstart Goblin. Absolutely disgusting card. I think this card should be played at 3 no matter what. Just because it says main deck 40, but in actuality, this is a 37 card deck. Because Upstart Goblin, you just activate it in order to draw another card. So it's almost like, I don't know what the term for it, if there is even a term for it, but it's like an invisible card. Because you get it and you can't really brick into it because you're just going to be drawing another card for it. Yes, it can get ashed, but people usually don't Ash Upstart Goblin because it's giving them an advantage as well of gaining life points. And you know, why wouldn't you take that? They will wait to Ash something else. So this card, pretty straightforward. Again, draw one card, opponent gets 1,000 life points. Really good. Play it at 3. I don't think there's, you know, any reason why you wouldn't play it at 3, at least with this deck specifically. And you always have the Magician Souls combo that I explained. If you feel safe, if you don't want to give your opponent that 1,000 life points, just send Upstart Goblin using the effect of Magician Souls, and you're good. You draw the card, you don't give your opponent the 1,000 life points, easy peasy. Terraforming. This card is absolutely disgusting. Now, I didn't play this card at first. It took me a while to add it, actually. I think I added it once I was like at Plat 3 or 2, one of those ranks. This card, I love this card because the good thing about this card is that it gives you flexibility on what you want to go to depending on the hand that you have or the board that you have once you have it in your hand. This card, super straightforward. Add one field spell from your deck to your hand. We're playing 3. We're playing Magician's Salvation, Magical Meltdown, Secret Village of the Spellcaster. Now, usually, if I'm like on a roll, I'm gonna go for one of these 2. Like, that's just how it is. Because with this, I get Mechaba on the field. I have a negate ready to go. Secret Village of the Spellcaster, super disgusting. Locks your opponent down from using spells if you have spellcasters on the field. But you know, if you're pretty good on these and you're playing maybe a Invoker deck as well, which is filled with spellcaster, just a spellcaster deck in general, this card kind of becomes kind of useless. So you can also go for your Magician's Salvation. Basically, this card just gets your field spell again. Like Upstart, it's just another card that you can mill very easily to get the card that you really need. This one specifically, because Upstart just draws something random, this gets the field spell that you need. So once again, if you're looking at my main deck, it says 40. Now maybe it says 36. I know it sounds crazy. I don't know if anybody uses like this same logic as I do, but I think thinning the deck is super important. This is just a card that you can activate in order to get the field spell that you need and also thin your deck. Super important. Next up, we have Invocation. I already went through the extent of the things that you can do with this card. Basically, this is your fusion card for Mechaba. Mechaba, there you are. You can use this card actually in order to go to other fusions. However, I do believe that they would have to be in the field at that point. Let's see, fusion, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Oh no, actually from your hand. So you can, if both the materials are in your hand, you can use this as a normal fusion card. This is another reason why I love this card, is because it's not only limited to you fusing Invoker type fusions, but you can use it to fusion your, you know, Dark Magician fusions. You can use it to fuse Dark Magician's essentially Dark Magician, the Dragon Knight, unless you're running a dragon randomly, it's not something you'll be able to summon through that method. Or Quintet, you know, if you have 5 different spellcasters, or 5 spellcasters for that matter in your hand, and this at the same time, you're crazy lucky. But you probably want to summon this guy through Magic Light Fusion. But, you know, again, it's just flexibility, and I think it's very important to have cards that are very situational, but not situational in one scenario, but can be useful in different scenarios, which is why I didn't use situational. I used flexibility first, because this card, you can do your normal Aliester combo, go into Mechaba, or if you already have your Mechaba on the field or you don't think you'll be able to get your Mechaba out, just go for another fusion monster. Simple and easy. Also remember, whenever you use it, if Aliester's in the graveyard, activate this card's graveyard effect to get the Aliester back in your hand, which also sends this card into your deck. That would be the only quote-unquote bad part about this card, is that you are not really getting that like thinning effect that most of my cards do, but the trade-off is absolutely insane. So definitely run Invocation if you're having the Invoker engine. Next up, Magic Life Fusion. I was very iffy about this card first because since we don't have like a huge fusion monster presence like Dragoon, our, I guess, like big boss monster or fusion boss monster would be Quintet. But the risk is very high. This is a very high risk, high reward card. It doesn't get destroyed by your opponent's card effects, and your opponent can tribute it for like Kaiju or oh my god, I forgot the rock's name. Bruh, what the hell? Meteor Rock. We're gonna call him Meteor Rock because I forgot the the name of the card, and I did play Nibiru, there we go. So you can't tribute this card either, so you can go crazy on your special summons and kind of time how much you're doing, because it's very easy to get, relatively easy to get to Quintet because of all those special summoning and send to the graveyard and blah blah you can do. But Magical Life essentially fusion summon one spellcaster fusion monster from your extra deck by banishing fusion material listed on it from your field or graveyard. So this card, again, flexibility. You don't have to go into your Quintet. You can go into your Dark Magicians. It's kind of the option that you want to try the least to go to. You kind of want to go into Dark Magicians using Secrets of Dark Magic or something like that. But it is an option. Something I also want to point out, if you do the hand fusion with Invoke, the cards don't get banished. So that's another reason why going to the Dark Magicians with Invoke is good. But this card, you mainly do want to use it for your Quintet. But again, there is the option to go to other fusions, but you can't go to your Dark Magician the Dragon Knight because for whatever reason, even though this card's name is Dark Magician, it's a dragon type monster, and this is only for spellcaster type fusions, right? So, you know, the reason why I have this again is because I have Quintet, and you can also go into your Anaconda, send the Magic Lives, and then go into your Quintet. But that's basically the extent of what you can do with that card. Alright, so real quick, I've already done a lot of cuts during this video again because of the 10-minute thing. I just quickly want to thank you if you're still in the video, listening to me explaining the deck profile. It really does mean a lot. And yeah, I'm trying to be as precise, but also going through as much details as possible just to not have the video be that long, but I just think it's essential to like describe everything. Again, videos like this are usually long all the time, but I digress. Let's just keep going at it, otherwise the video is going to be a lot longer. Secret Village of the Spellcasters. This card is absolutely disgusting. This card, the thing about this card is, alright, we all hate, did I really just forget another term? Floodgates. We all hate floodgates in this game. Now the thing about floodgates is, in a way, they are something I think that can coexist within the Yu-Gi-Oh card game. You know, floodgates, I mean like skill drain, or just cards that don't let you play, you know, the game. So right here we have the Herald of Ultimate Fun. But anyways, the point is that this floodgate, and I think that should be the way floodgates should be in general, at least the ones that are permitted for this game. The reason why I think this floodgate is balanced is because the only way it works is if I do have a spellcaster monster in the field. However, if my opponent were to destroy it, all my spellcasters, I cannot activate any spell cards. So this card, as long as you have a spellcaster type monster on the field, your opponent cannot activate any spells. But if you don't have any spellcasters type monsters on your field, you can't activate spells. Now, the big risky thing about this card, which again, I like that because big risk, big reward, high risk, high reward, is that if you're playing against a spellcaster type deck and they get to destroy your spellcasters, they essentially can't keep playing, or this card becomes useless. So like if you had like your Magical Meltdown or your Magician's Salvation, you send it to the graveyard in order to activate Village, you could kind of screw yourself up really easily with this card. So this card is one of those things that you really need to know what you're playing up against, or just be willing to take the risk of knowing that, you know, you might, you know, f yourself or lock yourself out of activating spell cards for a good minute if your opponent has anything that they can use to play around this. But right, floodgates in this game, I'm not going to go into it into detail in this video, but I think in this game it's kind of dumb again, since it's just, for now, we only have like run rounds. We can't play 2 out of 3. You can't really prepare against some floodgates your opponent is playing, which makes it stupid when you find, like, you know, ridiculous stuff like Imperial Order, which completely negates a Sky Striker deck, or you know, ridiculous stuff like that. Skill Drain also doesn't let a lot of decks play, which I am playing it, but you know, you kind of have to with this deck against some matchups. But I don't think maybe like eliminating some cards. Imperial Order, I do think it should be eliminated, because it just stops decks from playing at all, you know, and you can't do anything about it because Imperial Order is a trap card. Most of the cards that are used to destroy cards like that are spells. You can't activate spells. You know, well, what the heck do? You play like Dust Tornado or something like that? You get what I mean? But yeah, this card, absolutely insane. I think the main thing for it is just knowing when to activate it. If you activate it against a Sky Striker deck, I'm sorry, Sky Striker players, I respect you a lot, but they basically can't do anything unless they have something weird in order to like negate the activation or to destroy it. This card also is really good because it protects your back row. Eternal Souls is one of those cards that's super good in the Dark Magician archetype, but at the same time we kind of got cocked, because if they destroy Eternal Souls, all your monsters get destroyed from the field, or, you know, not even destroyed. Just, if this face-up card gets sent somewhere else, like to the graveyard advantage, everything gets destroyed. But most of the cards, especially in this one round format, most of the cards that do that are like Lightning Storm or Mystical Space Typhoon, you know, cards like that. They're just like activate in order to go for a wipeout, even not just to protect your back row, to protect your monsters. So if you have like a Dark Magician and Secret Village of the Spellcasters, you can safely activate your Eternal Souls as well. And your opponent can't like turn to Lightning Storm you at all, unless they destroy your Spellcaster. So that's essentially why I have this card here, just to like stop decks like that. Again, I'm sorry, Sky Strikers, but you know, sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. Magical Meltdown. Now, I already went over the Invoker combo. This card essentially is just like another startup for that combo. You know, if you wouldn't have like your Alistair, the Invoker in the hand, you activate Magical Meltdown, search for your Invoker, and then you go from there into the combo that I mentioned previously. Another good thing that I also did mention before, but I will mention it briefly again. If you already have your Alistair in the hand, this is a very good Ash bait. So you would just activate Magical Meltdown first. If they fall for the bait, they're gonna Ash it. Hopefully they don't have 3 Ashes in their hand. Once they negate this, you just go into your Alistair the Invoker safely without them being able to negate the search for the Invoke card effect. Also, your opponent cannot respond to Fusion Summons. I believe that's the other one, the effect, blah blah blah. You can activate. Actually, no, forget that other part. This one is so that your Fusion Summon effects cannot be negated. That's essentially the other effect this card has. Other than that, it's just a search for your Alistair, or you can use it to bait out your opponent's Ash. Cool. Next up, we have our third field spell, Magician's Salvation. This card is super good. I think maybe it could have had a crazier effect, but I think it's still really good for what it is. This card basically, once you activate it, it lets you search for an Eternal Souls from your deck. Once again, deck thinning. So basically, it's a 2-for-1. Alright, so you're getting Magician's Salvation into the field, and you're also setting Eternal Soul into the field. Keep in mind, your opponent will see the card that you set, so they will know. I mean, obviously they read, but a lot of people don't read in this game. I sometimes don't. But the point is that you 2-for-1, activate Magician's Salvations, get your Eternal Soul on the field. And the other effect of this card, what it does is that when you summon either Dark Magician Girl or Dark Magician, you can actually special summon from your graveyard one of the two that you didn't summon. So let me explain that again. If you summon Dark Magician Girl, activate Magician Salvation effect, you can special summon Dark Magician from your graveyard. Or if you special summon Dark Magician, which is what mostly is going to happen because you have Eternal Soul, you can special summon Dark Magician Girl from your graveyard. And, you know, right off the bat, that doesn't seem too crazy, but it is really good when you want to go into your Link plays or XYZ plays, if you can do any XYZ stuff here. But that's basically it. This card, again, really good Ash bait, especially if you already have an Eternal Soul in your hand. You can activate Magician's Salvation. If they negate it, that's fine. You already have your Eternal Soul in the hand. Set your Eternal Soul. Now they don't know it's Eternal Soul, which is a plus. Or if you have Magician's Souls or any other card that can search, I personally think that one of these is probably a lot more valuable than getting the search off this one. So you would just like activate Magician's Salvation first, have them negate it with Ash, and then you can go into your like card search plays or whatever with any of these up here. That's basically it for Magician's Salvation. Also, since sometimes if you don't get to your Magician Girl, it's just a really good dead card that you can send with Magician's Souls, with I did mention previously. Next, Dark Magic Circle. Here is where the debates will begin. Dark Magic Circle is one of those cards that a lot of people say that you should play it through when playing Dark Magician. I don't think that is the case. I do think that you should play it at least to 2. And you can go to 1 if you're playing something like what I have here. Now, the reason for that is Dark Magician Circle is absolutely an essential card in the Dark Magician deck. However, the chances of you hitting Circle in a 40 card format and with the cards that we have available right now is actually not that probable. That's one of the things you need to keep in mind. And most of the times when you activate Dark Magic Circle, you kind of want to hit into your Magician's Salvation or something crazy in order to add a card and yada yada. And that doesn't happen as often. But not only that, a lot of people are like, okay, but what if your Dark Magic Circle gets destroyed? And an effect that a lot of people forget is that Soul Servant can add cards from your graveyard to the top of your deck. You can't stack a card from the graveyard to there. So if your Dark Magic Circle gets destroyed, stack it with Soul Servant, get it back in there, and you can use it again. See, and for me, I would play it at 2, but just with the cards that I have and how this deck works right now, I think 1 is just that perfect number. Because again, you can get it back with Soul Servant unless it gets banished. And at the end of the day, you can just search it with Magician's Rod, So there's that. This card basically, once you activate it, you can look at the top 3 cards of your deck, place them in any order that you like, which is absolutely insane because since you're playing Upstart, you activate Dark Magic Circle, place with the cards however you want. You don't have to wait for your next turn to draw. Activate Upstart, stack, I don't know, it doesn't have to be a Dark Magician card, that's the crazy part. You can stack whatever cards you see, which one you would want, often Solemn Judgment or anything like that, depending on the scenario that you're at. Upstart Goblin, get the card. Crazy, absolutely crazy. It's basically cheating. You're basically activating a card that lets you draw into whatever you want, of course, within the 3 cards that you excavate or see at the top of your deck. The other effect of Dark Magic Circle is absolutely disgusting as well, and whenever a Dark Magician is summoned, you get to banish a card from your opponent. This is very good for interruptions. Once you have your Eternal Soul set up, this is basically a banish every turn with your Dark Magician or with Dark Magician the Dragon Knight, because this card name becomes Dark Magician while on the field or in the graveyard. Very important, so you can Eternal Soul this back. Absolutely insane. But yeah, Dark Magician Circle, at least for the deck that I have here, I am playing at 1. You can play it at 2. I don't know if you want to play it at 3. All depends on what you want to do, but I think that 2 or 1 is the right amount. Called by the Grave. Another card that is absolutely disgusting, and I think it is very essential right now, especially since we have it to 2. I think in TCG it's to 1. I am not completely sure. Do not quote me on that. But this card is absolutely insane. A great... Oh, also, Dark Magic Circle. Good card to counter Eldritch. Summon Dark Magician, banish an Eldritch on the field. You know, to beat Eldritch, you just want to get rid of the Eldritches. They lose. They can't do anything else. This deck, again, one of the things why I have Invoke, essentially, if you get rid of my Dark Magicians, I lose. But since I also have Alistair, you know, there's still, like, something that I can do. But anyways, Called by the Grave. Insane card. Basically, this targets a monster in your opponent's graveyard. You can banish it, and then their effect is negated until the end of the next turn, I believe. Right, until the end of the next turn. This is essentially a card that is really good for countering hand traps. If you're playing, you get Max Seed, activate Called by the Grave, Max Seed is negated. They can't activate another Max Seed until the end of the next turn. Ash, any hand trap, you just go into Call by the Grave. But the insane thing about Call by the Grave as well, which once again we go into the flexibility or a card having different options when you play it. If you're playing, again, the elephant in the room, Eldritch, just activate Call by the Grave. Automatically negate an Eldritch from the graveyard, banish it. It's gone. No more. That's an Eldritch, another Eldritch down. But you can also use it for against any deck that, because I've had this card used against me. You know, Dark Magician essentially is trying to bring put Dark Magician into the graveyard, bring it back with Eternal Souls, blah blah blah, so they can banish with Circle. They've used this against me. You activate Call by the Grave, Dark Magician doesn't have an effect, but the fact that you banish the Dark Magician, now you've essentially negated my Eternal Souls from bringing Dark Magician back, and it's one less Dark Magician that I have to play around. So Call by the Grave, absolutely insane. This is one of those cards that, no doubt, I think any deck, if not almost every deck, should play it too. Like, absolutely, no questions asked there. It's just an insane card right now. This card can win you games so often. Like, if you know what to negate, when to negate it, absolutely gross. Cool. Now, up next we have a card which is, again, essential, just pure essential for Dark Magician, like Magician Souls. Soul Servant. This card is absolutely gross. This thing is disgusting. This was a crazy buff for Dark Magician. Now, what this card basically does is when you activate it, you can place one card on the top of your deck, which is Dark Magician related, which can be pretty much almost any Dark Magician card that you see here. You can stack that on the top of your deck, which, by the way, can be another Soul... Actually, no, except Soul Servant. I'm sorry. It says it right there. So any Dark Magician card except Soul Servant, you can stack that card on top of your deck. And once again, the insane combo that you can do with this card is that you can actually combo it with Circle. You can activate Circle, chain Soul Servant to Circle, stack, I don't know, a Magician Salvation to the top of your deck. Now you can draw the Magician Salvation with the effect of Dark Magic Circle, and then once you send this card to the graveyard, you can banish it, and then draw the other card or two cards that you stack. This card is absolutely disgusting. So just to explain that second part that I mentioned just about banishing. So after you place the card on top of your deck and this card is in your graveyard, you can banish this card from your graveyard. And depending on how many Dark Magician Girl, or Oracle Magicians that you have with different names. So if you have 2 Dark Magicians in your graveyard, it only counts as 1. However, if you have Dark Magician Girl in your graveyard, that counts as 2. You can draw that many cards. So if you already sent Dark Magician and Dark Magician Girl to the graveyard, you can also, if you don't have like the Dark Magician Circle, the Dark Magic Circle combo, activate it. You already have your draws right here. Banish it, draw 2, or draw 1. Draw the 1 card that you stacked on top of your deck. Another combo, chain it to Upstart. Stack the card that you want with Dark Magician, Upstart, draw the card. This card is absolutely gross. This thing needs to be at 3. Like, there's no question or debate on like play Soul Servant at 2. No, this thing needs to be at 3. Like, absolutely disgusting card. And again, this card also, I did mention just a few moments ago, the reason why I play Circle at 1. You can recycle Dark Magician cards from your graveyard to the top of your deck, which is absolutely insane. Once again, I'm using the absolutely insane again as an expression a lot, but it's just, this card is just that. It's absolutely insane. So Dark Magician Circle, Dark Magic Circle got destroyed. Stack Dark Magician Circle back on top of your deck. Eternal Soul, stack it back on top of the deck. You already fused the Dark Magicians. Now you don't have anything to go into your Dark Magician's Dragon Knight. Stack Secrets of Dark Magic back, and now you have these 2 demons in the field. And this card is just insane. Like, straight up, play it at 3. Absolutely, no questions asked. There's no debating that. Secrets of Dark Magic. This card was kind of iffy at first, but this card can do a few interesting plays. Mainly this card, you're going to use it for one of these 2. I use it a lot for the Dark Magicians, but this is your card for going into Dark Magician's Dragon Knight. This card, basically what it does, the second effect, I'm not really using it as much yet because we don't have the Battle of Chaos Ritual Dark Magician card. I forgot its name right now, but that card is absolutely disgusting. I cannot wait till we have that here. So mainly you're just going to be using it to fusion summon. Now the cool thing about this card is that it's a quick play. Soul Servant is also a quick play, which I forgot to mention, what makes it even more insane. Because, real quick, if you have your Magician's Rod, get a card, you already have Soul Servant in your hand, link Magician's Rod away with Artemis, set Soul Servant, your opponent plays. If they didn't do anything threatening, they're going to end their turn, activate Soul Servant, stack the card, send Artemis to the graveyard because Magician's Rod activates, get Rod back, and now you draw the card you stacked, and you also can summon Rod again to get more Dark Magician cards just flowing into your hand. Bro, Soul Servant is just disgusting. It's absolutely insane. But anyways, this is a quick play spell. So if you have Dark Magician and any other spellcaster in your hand or field, you can go to the battle phase, attack with those magicians, fusion them away during the battle phase to the Dark Magicians or whatever, and it's just like an extra attack that you have available to you. This card is pretty straightforward in that sense. Now off to the trap cards. Evenly matched. This card, I think it's broken and should be limited, but I don't know. I mean, whatever. The point is, this card is just gross. This card, this card for turn 2, if you're going second, absolutely broken. Basically, at the end of the battle phase, if your opponent controls more cards than you do, you can activate this card, and then your opponent has to match the cards that you have in the field. So this tech, I'm pretty sure almost everybody knows it by now. If you're going second and you don't have anything to really break your opponent's board, obviously if they have that negate, try to bait that negate, as long as that negate is once per turn, or just try to drain their resources. You would not summon anything, go into the battle phase, go into your main phase 2, and before you enter main phase 2, the effect of Evenly Match is going to trigger, because you can activate this card from your hand if you control no cards on the field. Activate Evenly Match. Now they have to banish every single card in their field until they have 1 card left. This thing breaks boards like it's nothing. I still have to play this card a lot more because it's one of those cards that I also added like close to my Plat 1 because, you know, I just kind of needed it to break some boards that just were not a thing for me, or their board would be way too overwhelming. And with this card again, it's just disgusting how you can just banish everything. But definitely an insane card. And the good thing is that, I mean, you don't want to set it really, so kind of seeing it late game is kind of bad unless you get lightning stormed out of nowhere, and then you survive somehow and you can activate this, and then both of you are just like praying to get the card that you need. But it's just one of those cards that's absolutely insane. This one I think is very meta dependent, but but I do have it on my deck for now. Up next, we have Infinite Impermanence. Now this card is one that I really want to talk about something real quick. So this is essentially, Impermanence is essentially another just hand trap that I wanted to add into the deck. The good thing is that it offers me the flexibility of using it as a trap card as well. So if I go first and I get Infinite Impermanence in my hand, I can just set it, activate it the next turn to negate a monster's effect. Now, this card, as I mentioned, is a hand trap if you don't control, kind of like Evenly Matched. If you don't control any cards, you can just activate it straight from your hand, negate an effect, which is good. If they have like any crazy Omni-Negate monsters or whatever, you can just activate this and now you don't have to worry about it. And it also has a second effect, which in the column where you activate this card, if they were to activate a spell card in the same column as where you activate Impermanence, that spell card or trap card will actually be negated. Now, this card is insane. Don't get me wrong. This card is really good. However, and I'm going to do that right now with you guys. I recently got enough UR points or ultra rare points to get Effect Failure. Now, the reason why I think Effect Failure, again, this depends on your tastes, but I think Effect Failure is a lot better because Effect Failure, I don't have to set it. I can essentially keep it in my hand until I need it, so I don't risk having it get like lightning stormed or anything ridiculous like that. And although I am missing out again on the spell trap card thing, really anybody who's at Plat 1 is not gonna fall for like, you know, activating a card like an idiot on the column where you activate Impermanence, unless you're like playing against Eldritch and their back row is stacked. But you know, I think again, it depends on your taste, but I do believe that Effect Failure is a lot better, so I'm actually gonna put it in right now. So yeah. Effect Failure or Impermanence essentially do the same thing, but Effect Failure, you can just keep it in your hand until you really need it. And the other good thing about Effect Failure, this is a spellcaster card. So, again, very situational, but you want that flexibility always. If you enter your battle phase, and you just missed lethal on your opponent, and you have like Dark Magician or Dark Magician Girl on your field, you can activate Secrets of Magic during the battle phase. It's a spellcaster. Fuse these two away, or fuse these two away. Now you got an extra 2,800 attack to finish off your opponent. Absolutely insane. Not only that, spellcaster. So it's an extra monster that you can use in order to make your quintet, and banishing it with Magicalized. And it's not somebody that you're really going to miss not having it in your graveyard. So I definitely believe that Effect Failure, again, I put it in now because I just recently got it. I did get to Plat 1 with Impermanence, so if you don't have Effect Failure because you not wasted, but you used your ultra rare points on Permanence, it's another very viable option, but I do think that Effect Failure might be the way to go. I'll be testing it out, but on paper, I really think Effect Failure might be that dude, so, or that girl, whatever. Anyways, moving on. Solemn Judgment, absolutely essential. Once again, now I do believe that Solemn with this type of deck should be played at 3. The reason I am not doing so is because I really don't know where to create space for it. And Solemn, although you kind of want to see it every single duel, you don't want to brick on it either. Because if you have like 2 Solemn Judgments in your hand and not anything to really summon or do anything with, then you're just gonna like be negating, losing half of your life points every single turn. Which is a lot. So Solemn Judgment really is here again. So when a monster summon or spell trap card is activated, you pay half your life points to get the summon or activation. If you do destroy this card, this card is essentially for protecting your back road. Now you don't have to. If they do summon something that is like, okay, if they summon this, I lose, you can Solemn them. But Solemn is one of those cards where you really need to understand your matchup. You really need to understand your opponent's win condition and just when to activate it. You know, if you have a crazy advantage, then maybe you can kind of like monkey flip it or whatever. But at the start of the duel, you really kind of want to feel out your opponent. And again, since it's one best of one format, a lot of people are running a Lightning Storm and just bullshit like that to destroy your Eternal Soul, which is essential. So you kind of want to mainly save your Soul and Judgment for that, right? I recommend playing it at 3 maybe, but right now I just don't have or can't think of a way to like fit the third one in. And I think 2 is not bad, but again, you really want to see it, but not as often. Skill Drain. Another card, this one I really advocate for 2. Another card that you want to see, it's not that essential, but kind of, because especially now since we're using the Makaba, you don't want to negate monster effect. However, I already did mention the Magician's Soul deck, but this card essentially you pay 1,000 life points, negate the effect to fall face up monsters while they are face up on the field. Now, very important that last part, while they are face up on the field. So any monster that has an effect that tributes itself or tributes this card will be able to activate the effect. This card needs to be face up on the field in order to resolve or to negate the effect. Super essential card of this deck, I think, because since Dark Magicians is 2,500 is not a crazy amount, but effect monsters tend to have a lower attack value or defense value. So this is really good, like against Tri-Brigade or Drytron or decks, you know, these insane decks that have like a ton of effects or negates or search this, search that. You just flip Skill Drain, completely negate their deck, and now they have to find a way to destroy this while you have your 2,500 beat stick Dark Magician on the field, just destroying everything, while also banishing, because Dark Magic Circle is a spell card, it's not a monster. This thing is still going to be working. So this card, yeah, I am playing it at 2 again because Skill Drain even more than Solemn. So Solemn, you really want to see it, but bro, you will absolutely hate breaking into Skill Drain, especially when you have an advantage. When you Skill Drain stuff and you're like, okay, now all I need is this and then I'm good, and you just get another Skill Drain, it's gonna be the worst day of your life. Trust me, I played this at 3. I had to cut it at 2 because, again, want to see it, but don't want to see it as much. Finally, for the trap cards we have, or for the main deck, we have Eternal Souls. This card, one of those cards I really hate the destroy all monsters you control effect, but well, Konami did us bad on this one, did us dirty. But this card essentially is a continuous trap card. Once you activate it, you can special summon Dark Magician card from your hand or graveyard. So it's just a good way of getting your Dark Magician back in order to trigger Dark Magic Circle and keep on banishing cards from your opponent's side of the field. Also, it protects your Dark Magician from effects. So if they have anything that destroy monsters or sends them to the hand or whatever, they can't do it. They need to destroy Eternal Soul first if they want to do anything to your Dark Magician. Very important. It's just to your Dark Magician. It's not protecting all your spellcasters like Dark Magician Girl or anything that, only Dark Magician. This card also has a secondary effect where you can search for a Dark Magic attack or 1,000 Knives from your deck to your hand. It's pretty good, but with what I have, I don't really use that secondary effect. This card again is mainly here for recycling Dark Magician to get the banishes with Dark Magic Circle and protecting Dark Magician. This is the main card that you want to protect with Solemn Judgment. Absolutely. Like, you set Eternal activate if your opponent tries to Lightning Storm you. Solemn, now you keep your Eternal Souls and you can just keep bringing Dark Magician back. You have this, then you bring Dark Magician back, bring Dark Magician Girl back if she was in the graveyard, and so on, so on, so on. It's just a good card to keep like bringing back Dark Magician in order to continue to like link away until you get to like your Axis Code Talker or anything like that. So that's it for the main deck. I'm gonna try to breeze through the extra deck a little bit faster. Once again, thank you so much if you've been sticking around until this moment of the video. I know it's very long videos. Deck profile are kind of this way. Mine is especially extra long just because I wanted to go over things since I've never like shown or done anything Yu-Gi-Oh related. So I'm going very into detail, just like my thought process and why I made the deck like this, blah, 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 blah. But again, thank you so much for staying. Trust me, I'm trying to make it as fast as possible because when I record videos, I need to turn on my fans so they don't make sound because I still don't have like a good noise reduction microphone or anything like that. And it's getting very hot, so let's get into this super quick. Extra deck. Magician of the Dragon Knight. Absolutely insane card. This card is so good. The thing is, it's kind of hard to summon unless you're like using Dragon Keeper or something like that, but I don't think Dragon Keeper is very optimal. At least with what I have here. This card, the way you're basically going to summon it is that if you already have a Dark Magician in your field, you would link it away for Imduck, summon back your Dark Magician with Eternal Souls. If you have the opportunity to do so, you can go into your battle phase, attack with Imduck, attack with Dark Magician, activate Secrets of Dark Magic, fuse this guy, and go for another 3000 attack. Now, the insane thing about this card is gross. Usually when you summon this card, you have a pretty high chance of winning because this card essentially protects your entire back row. So as long as this card is on the field, your opponent cannot target spells, traps you control with card effects. And they cannot be destroyed by card effects. So I think the only way would be like non-target banishing or like non-target sending to the hand or whatever. The point is, this card protects your back row. Also, this card aims to become Dark Magician while on the field or in the graveyard, which I did mention a few moments ago. Eternal Souls. Eternal Souls, every Dark Magician in your monster zone is unaffected by your opponent's card effects. So Eternal Souls is protecting your Dragon Knight, while Dragon Knight is protecting your Eternal Souls. Absolutely gross. And the thing is, if your Dragon Knight would get destroyed by whatever reason, if they beat over it or something, you can bring it back with your Eternal Souls. This monster can be resurrected with Eternal Souls. Now, one thing I do want to mention briefly, if you're running Dogmatic Punishment and you want to send your Dragon Knight into the graveyard in order to then bring it with Eternal Souls, you can't do that. And at first I thought it's because Dogmatic Punishment doesn't let you fusion summon or do stuff from your extra deck for like 2 turns, but that's not the reason. It's just because since this deck was not appropriately summoned to begin with, which would be by fusion summoning, you're not going to be able to bring it back with Eternal Soul. So you need to fusion summon this card correctly by fusion summoning Dark Magician, using Dark Magician and a Dragon Monster in order to fuse it, put it in the field, and then you can continue to bring it back with Eternal Soul. Another good way to bring this guy easily is with Eye of Timaeus, but I don't think if Eye of Timaeus was searchable with Magician's Rod, Jesus Christ, it would be crazy. But you know, we got the bad end of the stick again, boys. But anyways, that's pretty much it. It's pretty straightforward, but absolutely insane. This is a really good boss monster for this deck. The Dark Magicians. Now, this card at first might seem a little bit underwhelming, but this is pretty much a card that I summon almost every duel. And the reason why is because it's super easy to make. All you need is a Dark Magician or Dark Magician Girl plus 1 Spellcaster. So you can use 2 Dark Magicians, you can use Dark Magician and Dark Magician Girl, or just Dark Magician and any Spellcaster that you have in your deck, including Alistair the Invoker. This card is absolutely disgusting to gaining card advantage. Essentially, whenever a spell or trap card is activated once per turn, you get to draw a card. Super gross. I mean, you can combo this with Circle. Activate Circle, stack a card, the Dark Magician's effect activates, and you get to draw that card. Completely disgusting. You can even do it with Soul Servant. Soul Servant, activate Soul Servant, stack a card, draw it with the Dark Magicians, and now you still have Soul Servant's effect in the graveyard. If you have, that's the thing, you are going to have at least one of these 2 in the graveyard because you fusion summon them. Draw an extra card. Absolutely disgusting. It is gross. The card advantage that you can get with this card. And the even crazier thing is that when you draw it, if it's a spell or trap, you can set it instantly. And I'm pretty sure it's activatable. You can activate it this turn. Absolutely disgusting. So if you're in a tight spot and then you activate its effect and you like draw into Solemn or Skill Drain, you can activate these cards right then and there if you need to do so. And that is absolutely crazy. Or, you know, Soul Servant, you can activate it as well if you want to stack for your next turn draw. But yeah, this card is absolutely gross, and not only does it give you the card advantage, I really like the defensive quote-unquote capabilities it has. Because if this card is destroyed, you can special summon both one Dark Magician and one Dark Magician Girl from your hand, deck, or graveyard. And I think deck is the big one, because if you fusion summon it with Dark Magician, which is, you know, for that second effect, the best case scenario that you want, once it gets destroyed, you can summon the ones that you still, the Dark Magician and the Dark Magician Girl that you still have on your deck, essentially removing all the brick monsters from your deck in 2 turns, which is absolutely craziness. Now you only have like spells or traps or monsters that just help you like move around or fuse, or you know what I mean? It is absolutely insane the things you can do with this card. If you're not sure what you're going up against, fusion summon the Dark Magicians. If they activate something that destroys monsters, or back row, if you have Eternal Soul activated, they destroy Eternal Soul, destroys your monsters. But now you can just special summon the Dark Magician and Dark Magician Go from your deck. Absolutely insane. This card is very, very good. Its effects seem very underwhelming at first, but once you use it and know when to summon it and blah blah blah, crazy card. Next, the big boy, the man of the deck. This guy, I cannot say how many times this dude has won me so many duels, especially again against Eldritch, because it is absolutely insane. I already explained the whole Invoker combo, how it works, so I'm just going to talk about this card specifically, although I did mention already what it can do. Essentially, once per turn, when a spell, trap, or monster effect is activated, you can send the same type of card to the graveyard and negate the activation and banish that card. Now, the insane thing about this card, since you're going to be fusing it with Invocation, you're always going to have a monster negate at least in your hand. And this is worst case scenario if you need to use Aliester. You have Dark Magician, send Dark Magician. I kind of already went through that. Wow, my voice is dying out. I apologize. Send Dark Magician to the graveyard, so you can then bring it back with your Eternal Souls, negate the effect, and now you still have your Invoker in the hand in order to give it that 1000 attack defense boost if you need to do so, just in case they would summon something that can be over invoked. You're running Solemn, so again, essentially you can have up to 2 negates. 2 negates that can negate anything. So invoked, you can use it to negate a spell, trap, or monster effect. This is more for spell trap negates, but you can also negate a summon. And if you already activated your Invoke Mechaba and they're gonna f you up with some crazy special summon stuff, skill drain them. You already used your effect. You can also keep a skill drain in your hand if you already know what you're up against and you're sure you don't need it, and have like, you know, a trap card negate for Mechaba. This card is just absolutely insane. When you get like Invoke, a few hand traps, and have Solemn, and if you have this as well, it's gonna be extremely hard for your opponent to do whatever they wanted to do during that turn, unless their engine is absolutely busted. Quintet, very straightforward. It takes 5 Fieldcaster monsters to make. This card cannot be destroyed by card effects, and it also cannot be tributed, so you're safe from Nibiru or Kaijus, or just getting destroyed. Keep in mind, it says destroyed by monster's card, opponent's card effects, so you can be destroyed by your Eternal Souls. Very important to remember that. I once summoned him, forgetting about that detail, destroyed my Eternal Souls. I was being all cocky and stuff. I was not protecting my Eternal Souls, and I wiped my entire monster zone. But another effect this monster have, if you fusion summon it by using 5 spellcasters with different names, once this card hits the field, it's going to destroy all card your opponent's controls, non-targeting, which is gross. This thing when you summon it in the right moment, it is absolutely insane. And that's why you have Magicalized Fusion. Once you have, it's so easy to send spellcasters into the graveyard with this deck. You have Magician Souls, which can send Dark Magician Girl or Dark Magician into the graveyard. You have Effect Veiler now, which is a spellcaster already negated. That's another spellcaster in your graveyard. Magician's Rod, you're pretty much always going to be linking it away to Artemis. That's another spell. Already there you have 5 spellcasters. It's so easy to have 5 spellcasters in your graveyard with this deck that Quintet is going to be coming out a lot more often than usual. And the good thing about Quintet is that you can either summon it by, once you get Magicalized Fusion, you have the 5 spellcasters in your graveyard, activate it, that's a Quintet. And you don't have to have 5 spellcasters with different names. It can be the same name, but if your opponent has a stack field, and that's kind of what you want to aim for, to have like the 5 different names. And now you can just summon a big 4,500 attack and defense monster, and it's still not going to be destroyed or tribute. That effect is still going to be active. But that's the other reason why I have this. Is very iffy, especially since we don't have Dragoon, but I just like, if we're late game and for some reason I can get 2 effect monsters on the field, I can just link them away, including, using something crazy like Max C, activate Anaconda's effect, choose Magicalize, and then just summon Quintet, wipe out the field, and go for a lot of damage, if not preferably lethal. After that, XYC's D's, guys, I'm going to be very honest, I have not gone into this combo in a good minute. I have thought about eliminating it. I'm still, analyzing it. I'm keeping it for now because honestly, it's a really good combo. Basically, this is another way also to get 5 spellcasters into your graveyard. If you have Dark Magician Girl and a Prince Solution, you can summon Dark Magician Girl easily with Magician Soul's effect. This thing, you can just send something to your graveyard, special summon her, and now you also have Dark Magician in your hand. XYC summon 2 level 6 spellcaster monsters, and this, once per turn, you can detach a material from this card to negate a spell or trap card, and it's a quick effect, which is absolutely insane. This is really good, but the main reason why you have this is because once you XYC this, you want to rank up into your Ebon. So this uses 2 level 7 monsters. You don't really go into this using 2 Dark Magicians because it's basically pointless, unless like you can attack to it and then go to your Zeus. But this monster can also be XYC summoned by using a rank 6 spellcaster. So now you have 3 materials, right? A 3 material Ebon. And if you attack, the play is to go into your Zeus, and now you have a Zeus with 4 materials, so you can do the field wipeout twice. This combo is absolutely insane. Like, it's sort of hard to pull off, but when you do get it, it's absolutely crazy. Of course, you can just use your Ebon if you rank it up and you don't think you're going to be able to get to Zeus. You can just attach a material to summon the Dark Magician from your deck or graveyard, which is something it can do. I'm sorry, I think it's deck or hand, right? Once per turn, blah, blah, blah. Right, deck or hand, I'm sorry, it can't do from the graveyard. And every time a normal spellcaster type monster declares an attack, by the way, this is when. So it can be your opponent's spellcasters as well. If your opponent is playing Dark Magician as well and they attack with the Dark Magician, you can activate this effect and banish a card. So whenever a normal spellcaster type monster declares an attack, you can banish a card. This card, of course, has a lot of good synergy with this. If you have Circle, attach, summon Dark Magician, banish with this, declare an attack with Dark Magician, banish again. So that's 2 banishes per turn, which is absolutely disgusting. But mainly you're going to be wanting to go into this demon. Now this is another staple XYC card that's basically in every deck because it's so easy to summon. Essentially, if your XYC monster battled, it doesn't have to destroy, it doesn't have to do damage, it just needs to battle, which is absolutely insane. What What the heck, Konami? You can special summon this card after the battle phase. Alright, because it's not a quick effect. And then you have the quick effect of detaching 2 materials from this card. Send all other cards from the field to the graveyard. That is disgusting. Also, if this is another side effect that a lot of people forget this card has, once per turn if another card you control is destroyed by battle or an opponent's card effect, you can attach that one card from your hand deck. You can attach one card from your hand deck or extra deck to this card as material. So that's another thing to keep in mind when using Zeus. But essentially, this card, keep in mind, if you have Eternal Souls face up on the field and you activate its effect, you are going to be destroying your Zeus at the end of the field. So it's very important to know what the status of Eternal Soul is. Otherwise, you're going to destroy literally everything, including yourself. But the main combo with the XYZ thing is you want to go into your Naruto if you want to have the 4 material Zeus. You want to go into your Naruto, rank up to Ebon, and then attack and summon your Divine Arsenal. This is another good way as well to have for the quintet. This would have essentially 2. This would be essentially 3 different names. Now you have Ebon, you can send one of these to the graveyard, have another one. You know, it's just another route you can take for a quintet. I'm not going to go into detail on this alternate route, but it's just something else that you can do as well, because you can, you know, just send cards into your graveyard. And if your opponent activates an effect while you have Naruto, that's another card you can send into the graveyard. It's just another spellcaster you can have in place for your magicalized fusion. I cannot explain how many times I've already had to pause recording to start it up again. We're almost done. I'm going to try to breeze in through the links in this 10-minute segment. Basically, first up you have Imduk. Pretty good card. It's just a good link away to Dark Magician. A lot of people play Link Spider as well. I am debating to put Link Spider back in for Unicorn, and I will explain why, and also why I have Unicorn there. Imduk, straightforward. You have normal monster. You want to send your Dark Magician to the graveyard, bring it back with Eternal Souls. Now you can banish with Circle, and you can also fusion summon Imduk and Dark Magician into your Dark Magician, the Dragon Knight. Now, this card also has another effect where if it attacks a monster that it is pointing to, it simply destroys it. And, you know, here and there it's something that comes up and is actually really good, because your opponent can have a Zeus, a non-material Zeus of course, or anything that's like has a crazy attack stat, and you can just attack it with Imduk, and boom, you got rid of it with like a 800 attack monster. Really good card, mainly just a link away for Dark Magician so you can get an extra banish and go to your Dragon Knight. Linkuriboh, really good card. I really like this card from when you start out with Magician Souls, but you don't really have like anything to protect yourself or something like that. Essentially, when you summon Magician Souls after using like its effect or blah blah blah, you can link it away for Linkuriboh. In this card, essentially, when an opponent's monster declares an attack, you can tribute this card, and that monster attack becomes 0. This card, very important, can dodge skill drain, because if you remember what I said earlier, the effects can be activated, however they need to be on the field. This monster tributes himself, so you can have skill drain set on the field, and you can still use the reducing the monster attack to 0 effect from Linkuriboh. Another cool thing about Linkuriboh is that if you already linked summoned it properly, if you have Magician Souls once again on your field, you can just tribute Magician Soul and summon Linkuriboh from your graveyard, which is something to know. This card's super good. Again, has really good synergy with Skill Drain, because it tributes itself. Skill Drain is not going to negate Linkuriboh. Very important to remember that. And you can just bring it back with Magician Souls whenever you have it on the field. Artemis, really good card. This card essentially is if your opponent doesn't have the light monster that I mentioned earlier with Aleister, you can just link away Aleister into Artemis in order to get the Mechabot on the field, or you can link away your Rod, and then on your it's activate. It doesn't have to be on your opponent's turn. Whenever a spell or trap card is activated, it has to be during your opponent's turn. Yes, it has to be during your opponent's turn. I apologize. So during your opponent's turn, whenever a spell or trap is activated, or you activate a spell or trap, You can tribute a spell card to bring Rod back, which would be your Artemis. Tribute Artemis, bring Rod back to your hand, and now you can, get another Rod search going. Artemis is one of those things that I have been thinking about playing too, but I just don't know what to take out. This is just, random stuff that I've thought about, just things to adjust the deck a little bit more. Anaconda up next. It's one of those cards that I think a lot of people will be like, why the heck are you playing this? I sometimes think that to myself as well. I just think it's sometimes a good backup option to go into your quintet if you can't find or you don't draw into your Magic Life Fusion. I just think it's a good card to have. We don't have Dragoon, but I definitely think that it's worth having Anaconda if you kind of already have your fusions and your links that you're going to use. This one, Unicorn, is one of those that I am not sure if I want to keep. This monster, honestly, I just have it because there was a specific duel that I will show when I'm doing the replays where this card would honestly come in clutch, and I just wanted a good link 3. If I can't go to Luster Soldier or Celine because they have whatever, I can just summon this thing, send whatever is annoying me into their deck, and it's just like a good summon, get rid of this type B card. That's why I have it for now. I'm still considering it, whether to put like Link Spider or something like that again, but this deck, if you get going, you can get 3 monsters or enough value to get into a Link 3 relatively easily. So I have it there for now. Right, this card essentially, as I said, once you Link summon it, you can discard 1 card, then turn 1 card on the field, shuffle it into the deck. That's basically and if it's co-linked, you get to draw a card. I think it's every turn or so. Any co-link monster you're on the field, your normal draw and your draw phase. Right. That barely is gonna come up, but yeah. Anyways, next up we got Blackluster Soldier, Soldier of Chaos. This card is super good. It's pretty situational, but it's just, again, one of those cards that's good to have. Especially because it has a effect where if you summon it using a level 7 or higher monster as a material, your opponent cannot target this card with card effects. Also, it cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. That is insane. This card, if you go again up against Eldritch, if you attack once against an Eldritch player with this card and you got it into the field by sending a level 7 or higher monster as a material, you basically won. If this thing is at 4,500 against an Eldritch player, there's literally nothing they can do unless they have something crazy to counter you and they don't destroy your Eternal Souls. Very important, Eternal Souls will destroy this card if your Eternal Souls is destroyed. But this card, crazy Eldritch counter. It has 3 effects. Whenever it attacks, you can either make it gain 1,500 attack, which is why I mentioned previously getting it to 4,500. Or 4,500. This card can make a second attack the battle phase of your next turn. Very important, the next turn. Don't think you can attack twice per turn. So if you attack and you already have the 4,500 and you think maybe next turn you can go for lethal or something crazy, then you can activate that effect. But essentially you either want to activate the gaining attack or banishing 1 card on the field. Every time this card attacks, you can banish 1 card on the field. Absolutely crazy. This card is super good for almost every deck. Celine. This is another must for a Dark Magician deck. This is essentially your pathway into Access Code Talker. The way this card works, once you summon it, you can place spell counters on this card equal to the number of spells on the field and in the graveyard. You just want to make sure you have at least 3, because you would summon Celine, and then you can remove 3 spell counters and then special summon a spellcaster back. Now, you can summon a Dark Magician back in order to trigger your circle if you already haven't during that turn. However, keep in mind that you won't be able to go to Code Talker because Code Talker needs to be with 2 effect monsters. So mainly you're going to be bringing back either your you can bring back Dark Magician Girl, and if you have Magician Salvation, activate that in order to bring Dark Magician back. If not, then you can just bring any of these guys back of the spellcasters, or really anything. Well, yeah, it has to be spellcaster because it's Celine. and then you can link away into our final monster in deck, which is Axis Code Talker. This card, absolutely crazy. Essentially, once you summon it, you're just going to be sending off your Selene. This card, you can target one. This card gains attack equal to that monster's link rating times 1000. So this thing would give it plus 3000. So it would be a 5300 attack beat stick, and it stays that way. You know, it's not once per turn. It's going to stay 5300, which is an absolute insane value. And the other effect this card has, let me do a quick cut real quick. The other effect this card has is that you can banish one link monster from your field or graveyard, and you can destroy one card your opponent controls. Also, for the rest of this turn, you cannot banish monster with the same attribute to activate this effect, right? This monster has the effect that you cannot respond to its card effect activations. So this card is one of those cards that you want to have like your toggle on, and then you can like either soul limit or effect veiler it, but you need to do it before it gets, you know, activating, because once it activates the pop effect, you're not going to be able to stop that. It's going to pop something regardless, or its initial like gain attack effect. You need to toggle on and then like activate like your effect veiler or your skill drain or whatever in order to negate this card from doing so. But essentially this card just pops cards for free. This deck can send I'm Duckling, Karibo, Artemis. You're gonna be sending Selene as well pretty consistently, so you essentially have 4 pops from your graveyard, but keep in mind this card says from the field as well, so you can pop Axis Code Talker himself in order to pop a card, destroy a card. And it's absolutely insane. This card is essentially when you want to go like for lethal or for game, because honestly, if your opponent doesn't have anything and you have this card and like Dark Magician as well on the field or anything like that, your opponent basically lost, because you're just going to destroy everything that might be able to protect them, and then it's just game from there. Absolutely insane card. I think it's pretty much essential in almost any deck because it's so easy to do, especially since you have the advantage of Selene because you run spellcasters. Crazy card, crazy card. But right, this is essentially it. Let me try to make the conclusion pretty fast so I don't have to keep you sitting here anymore. Again, thank you so much if you stayed for the whole video. I will be making another video before I get my new PC. I will try to do so on some replays I have, just so you see how the deck works, or even just to see like my process on how I got to Plat 1. My goal would be to show some of the replays that I have already saved, which are absolutely insane, and then just, you know, do a few videos here and there of just duel replays that I have of recently played duels, until maybe at some point I can get into streaming. Right now my internet here will not allow me to stream at all. But anyways, right, that's essentially the deck. There are a few things that I might, you know, play around with. Veiler is one of the things I'm going to be testing, but I really think that a Veiler is definitely the better choice instead of Impermanence. The whole, you know, evenly match, soul them to 3. Those are the things that I would be adjusting. Unicorn, where to add Link Spider back. You know, the whole XYZ combos. But this is essentially the main idea of the deck. Again, I know it's not a pure Dark Magician deck, but I just think it's a really good combo or way to make a Dark Magician deck work in order to get to the Plat 1 Mechaba being that negates substitute for Dragoon. I am super excited for when Battle of Chaos releases, because there we are going to get... Is it Illusion of Chaos? I'm pretty sure his name is Illusion of Chaos, but basically a ritual card that lets you like search. It's insane. And then you get it to like the right spell card, which lets you search for a ritual. It's insane. This deck will absolutely change a lot once that is released. I might drop the Aleister, or maybe like reduce it once that comes out, but it all depends, right? It all depends. But anyways, I'm blabbering at this point. that's my Invoke Magician deck profile. I hope you enjoyed. If I missed any combos or anything like that, please let me know in the comments so we can talk about it or have other people learn that whatever it is a possibility. If you have any suggestions or if this video helped you in any way, please let me know. But yeah, dude, I've been having a lot of fun with this game. I just hope they add more stuff. Cause like, yeah, 1-on-1 is basically it, but right now, once you get to Plat 1, like, that's kind of it, you know what I'm saying? I'm still having fun, but, you know, little thing to have. Anyways, that's it. I'm gonna be like that. Hope you're all doing good. I am going to be uploading the replays as soon as possible. However, I have 2 videos in the vault that I do want to get to editing and release those as well, just because, you know, I did them just to get them out there. But this is just like a little update / this is what I'm doing right now. Hopefully I'll get back into that weekly upload schedule soon. So yeah, that's basically it. Hope everybody's doing well. Take care, and I'm signing.